So welcome to the Week 12 preview between the Buffalo Bills and Houston Texans. Week 12 on Thursday Night Football. So day recording right now is Tuesday night. So I'm not sure if I'll upload tonight or on Wednesday. So it'll be around, of course, less than 2 days away or less than a day away from the game when it happens. And it's going to be a tough one. You see that for ESPN, the percentage, they have the Bills as slight favorites, 51.9% for this one, but certainly I understand why Texans are as close as they are for this one. If you want to break down the quick team stats for this one, it is certainly a total opposite. It's essentially flipped on its head for both sides. So you look at the Bills, they completely dominate the Texans offensively in this one. You look at the Bills all across the board. They're top 5 outside passing yards in every category. Texans are in the middle of the pack or bottom half of the league with that as well. The Bills are second in total yards, 8th in passing yards, 1st in rushing yards, tied for 4th in points per game, 4th in third down percentage, and then middle of the pack, like we said, 14th in total yards, 16th in passing, 23rd in rushing, 21st in points per game, and then tied for 26th for third down percentage. Then you kind of flip over to the defense here. It has gotten better to a little bit, but still it's much closer per se than how it is for offensively for both sides, but still you look at all across the board there. They're top 5 in every single category. First, third, first, tie for third. For the Bills there, they have some weaknesses there, especially the running aspect, 31st in the league right there, which Nick Chubb hasn't had the best game, or best season thus far. He's been serviceable, but certainly that's a place where they can exploit them. We saw that with Tucker last week and White, or I should say this past Sunday, they were able to run the ball very easily, and that's still something that the Bills are struggling throughout the whole season thus far, going to 12th game of the season right now. Outside of that is middle of the pack. Outside of passing yards, they're second in there, but 15th in total yards. Tied for 14th in points per game, tied for 18th in third down percentage, and then we talk about 34th, the horrible, ugly, thing right there. And it's going to be, this is, I think, more importantly, going to be a confirmation about how I feel about the offense last week, because yes, they had a phenomenal performance. There were some injuries in the Buccaneers defense, which certainly to a point that is valid if you want to make an excuse for them, but the Bills still played out, the Bills still balled out. Josh Allen played well outside of 2 bad turnovers in the game, but 6 total touchdowns in that one, 3 passing, 3 on the ground. You had some, breakout games, especially for Tyrell Shavers, over 90 yards, had a nice touchdown. Gabe Davis over 40 yards receiving. Now it's going to be an ultimate test there. When you have a great pass rush, especially in Hunter and Will Anderson, and a great corner, I should say elite corner in Stingley Jr., who's going to step up in this one? And I'm going to quickly dive into kind of like keys of the game or what I'm looking for the Bills real quick. And it goes to what I said, that Josh Allen needs to play great again. He can't have, of course you want the 6 touchdowns, obviously, but it's just those 2 interceptions. You can't turn the ball over for this one. You don't want to have a repeat of Miami. You don't. You can, at this point, you cannot afford to have a hiccup thus far in the season. You have to win this. And I don't want to say it's an easy one, because certainly, again, defensively, they are stacked all across the board in every category. You got to take advantage of Davis Mills and the struggling offense they've had. You could this past Sunday, they struggled against Tennessee and barely made it out alive with a win there. That should give you the confidence that you can go against this offense and shut them down. But when our defense does that, Allen, you can't turn the ball over. You can't have stifles in the drives and 3 and outs, or maybe you got to continue that. So you kind of have to take the good, but you have to lower down the bad. If you want, at worst case, if it's cutting the turnovers in half and getting 1 reception, you just cannot afford to put yourself in a situation like the Dolphins game where you give this team life, one that maybe at that point in the game there shouldn't be any there. So Josh Allen needs to play great, no question. That's obvious. It's not really me going all on a limb saying that. Also, too, for the Bills, they got to shut down defensively Collins and Schultz. We saw last year when we faced them, Collins made some good plays before getting hurt in that one, but was torching the Bills defense, no doubt about him along with Stephon Diggs when he's on the team there. Luckily, for our sake of it, there's not too many playmakers on there. Stephon Diggs, of course, isn't there anymore. Tank Dell has been lost for the season from last year, late last year when he had the gruesome knee injury. And Schultz has produced really well. He's been a good player for them at the tight end position. So really, it's going to step up if you're going to pursuing Benford on Collins, or if you want to put Maxwell Harrison at that point, if I would again presume it'd be Benford, for Nico Collins, or if they don't want to have him follow him on the other side of the ball there, if it's that, or dare I say maybe Trey White, which wouldn't be a good idea, but either Maxwell or Benford to kind of either side of the ball where he is on the field there, and Schultz. Got to lock him down. Well, it's going to be Bernard. He's struggled this year, and Milano as well. They have not been the players they've used to be, of course, more so with Milano with the injuries and the age, but Benford has just not lived up to the contract that he's got this past offseason. He's giving you some flashes, but not even close to what he was last year or years past for this one. So that's really going to be important for them to really shut down Schultz and take away the little opportunities that Davis Mills could really present himself in this one. And we kind of go to this Texan stats here real quick to show you that. You look at your leading receiver, Nico Collins, 642. Guy can get open, can make plays. You look at it as well in the receiving game, Schultz, there you go, 49, 1 touchdown. Collins, 642, 4 touchdowns. Outside that, yeah, so you would rather live with other people trying to win out and make plays and try and shut down your top 2 guys like Xavier Hutchinson, Jaden Higgins, their second round pick, Jalen Noel, and so forth. Everyone else isn't really a huge factor. So you really want to kind of shut down. You can live with other guys, maybe feasting a little bit, getting some yardage, but you just can't afford Nico Collins and Schultz. More so, Nico Collins really, getting down, open downfield, making big plays, and giving this team hope to win this one. And then for the running game as well, has been crazy at all. I mean, Nick Chubb 419. 2 touchdowns, averaging 4.2 yards per carry, average yards per game 41.9. So again, it's not that crazy, but again, we know how the run defense is, and it could certainly show its ugly head here. And Nick Chubb can run for over 100 yards. I mean, you never know at this point here. It does help for our sake too that Joe Mixon is not playing, and we only know obviously we don't have to worry about for this week, but you just don't know his foreseeable future thus far in this, at least for this season. But you have Nick Chubb, you have Willie Marks, who had again same carries, 348, 2 touchdowns. Davis Mills, 10 carries, 44 yards, 1 touchdown. So again, nothing great rushing wise for Texans, but again, gotta lock it down there. You can't give them the opportunity there when this is a bad team running the football. You can't give them hope and make this team look like they're phenomenal at running it, because you just can't stop it there. So, again, keys to the game there. Allen's got to play well, of course. I'm not going on a limb saying that. Got to really shut down or limit Nico Collins and Schultz, the only 2 great weapons they have in the receiving game, as well as, like I said, for wide receivers, what I said a few minutes ago, who's going to step up in this one? Is Gabe Davis going to do his disappearing act and just go away and have 1 catch for 15 yards? Or is he going to build off of what he did and give you at least 40 yards in a game, or maybe a little bit more, give you a touchdown? Is Shavers, if you want to rely on him as well, being more a focal point in this offense, can he give you some good plays here and there? I mean, I like to see really Shakir take a huge step forward, because he had an awful game this past Sunday. 1 catch for -3 yards, just was a huge non-factor at all in this one. So that's, I think, more important. That's what I want to see, is Shakir step up, be utilized more, better for Joe Brady wise, but just certainly just play better, because we really need him. We need someone to really get open in the middle field there, being the slot receiver, and take full advantage of that in this one. So I'm just looking at who's going to step up again, like this everyone's mentality that we're all sick of. Who's going to be the guy who's going to step up? And like I said, can these guys build off of what they did this past Sunday, more so with Gabe Davis and Tyler Shavers, or whoever you want to throw there in the receiving game as well. And then going to quickly for the Texans, there, like I said, Stingley, whoever he's going to shut down probably anyone he goes against, which I don't know who he would be really focusing on, if it's Gabe Davis or whoever you want to throw out there in this one. And certainly better that Keon Coleman's not out there, so that's already a plus there as it is. And the other one, too, is just the pass rush. Got to be careful with that. I mean, they don't have a lot of sacks outside of Will Anderson, or very little production outside of Will Anderson and Hunter, but those guys can get after quarterback. Hunter has 9 sacks. Will Anderson has 8. So it's going to be very important for Brown and Dawkins to really shut them down, and really, if you want to say shut them down, but at least give Josh Allen enough time to get the ball out of his hands, because those guys can take over games, they can wreck games, and we've seen at times, the pass rush more so, again, going back to Miami and other games where they kind of rattle Allen a little bit. So you got to, at least limit them as best as possible. I mean, 2 great, one of the better duos in the league for pass rushers for that at the edge. So got to try and really limit that as possible. And the only thing I can really say, keep going back to the Miami game, you cannot take this for granted. I know it may not be crazy going against Davis Mills. You look at the stats, again, the rushing for them, for Nick Chubb and so forth, but you got to take advantage of this. If this is such an easy win, if the players feel like that, show it. It's how I felt about the Miami game. If you want to feel like, oh, it's an easy one because of the record, how bad Miami, how they're dysfunctional they are, go out there and prove it. Go out there and put this game away very early and be done with it. Don't drag it along. Don't give the Texans hope. Shut it down as soon as possible for this one. And that's I think more important, just being focused. And I feel like that because the Miami lost, this won't happen again. You never know at this point, but I feel like at this point they know that they have a real chance. If they can win this, they're really back in the contention with the AFC East division with the New England Patriots. Of course, there is some luck you have to go along with them losing a game or two, and then you have to win the rematch later on in the season, Week 15, which is coming up soon. But this can really put you in a big position to win this one, have two quick wins in a few days span, to go from 6-2, feeling like you're just completely out of the race, to now bumping up to, 6-3, bumping all the way up to 8-3. It gives you a lot more hope for this one. I think a lot more momentum going towards that game in Week 15 and towards the end of the year for this one. So this is a huge one. I mean, all of them down the line now, the rest of the way are huge, but it's just taking advantage of this one, kind of showing people more so the fans, and also proving yourselves that yes, you bounce back from that brutal loss to Miami, and you can get those two quick wins and be back in contention. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out for the Bills in this one. I do think it's going to be a little bit of a tough game. I hope it's a blowout for the Bills, as we all do, but I do think this is going to be a little bit challenging, just because of just how great defensively they are, as well as the flaws the Bills have defensively as well. I mean, hopefully Bishop can give you another interception, how great he's played down the stretch thus far, but it's going to be a little bit difficult. But I do think the Bills are going to be much better than they were a couple games ago, and build off of what they did there. So I'm excited to see how Gabe Davis looks like in his second game, and other people that step up in the role. Against Tyrell Shavers, I don't know if Elijah Moore is going to step up because of McCole Hartman probably going to be out for the game, or whoever they're going to elevate there. But again, I love to see how it is. And more so, again, James Cook had a quiet game. Yes, did have a receiving touchdown, but on the ground did have a quiet game in that one. And this is, again, going against a tough run defense. Go back to this one, they were ranked where were they? Ranked third in the league with this one, 87.1 yards. So let's see if we can get them going for this one. And that's going to wrap it up there, at least for the Bills edition. I'll give you, of course, the next video will be coming out is a recap, probably next day on Friday when that does happen. Give the recap, and we'll talk about the results for that one.